Tonight on News 5 Live, Copa Airlines passengers detained. Leader of the opposition's fiancé files police report. Omicron finally confirmed in Belize, and BDF soldiers worried about COVID cases at camp. Details of these stories and more coming up on News 5 Live.
We have been a partner with Smart for over 10 plus years. We have a full Smart plan we use as our major driver for our business. We have a service that rolls over in that if you call one and it is busy, it rolls over to the next line. So once you call us, you can get us at any time. Before we got this Smart service, we were paying upwards of nearly $2,000 in phone bills. Since we've had our Smart service, we pay an average of about $600. So we've had tremendous saving, more than 50%. For the businesses, if you want to save money, switch to Smart because it is far more cost effective and the service is excellent.
Smart continues to be innovative in bringing new technology and meaningful savings during these challenging times to businesses across Belize. Sign up for our VoIP technology or broadband packages and save more.
It's almost lunchtime and Alice is getting hungry and forgot to bring cash. She remembers that eCash now has a geolocation feature in which she can easily view the eCash merchants near her, especially restaurants. Her co-workers also ask her to order food for them.
Chicken chow mein, please, and a Coke.
The merchant sends her the payment link. She taps confirm, and within a few minutes, her food is delivered. Alice then views her transaction history and taps on the transaction recently made. Then taps the split the bill button where she selects the unevenly option and moves the bar to the desired amount per person. The request is then sent to her friends. Her colleagues accept the request and are ready to enjoy their meals. Geolocation and splitting the bill via eCash make Alice's life a whole lot easier.
in the moments that matter the most. For your health and well-being, when the choice is yours, choose the brand you have always trusted. Crystal Water. Taste you can trust.
Child Development Foundation, or CDF as we are popularly known, has been partnering with Social Security Board since 2015. Social Security Board supports our child protection initiatives. They support us to build capacity for teachers and parents to identify the indicators of abuse. In particular, they support our counseling center so that we can provide trauma-focused counseling therapy to children who have been abused. Social Security has also supported our prevention program, the Rise Girls program, to help us to equip young women who are in primary and secondary school to understand more about adolescent development and also to build good self-esteem and to build safe social networks.
Over the past 6 years, we have established a partnership with the Social Security Board. It has assisted us in addressing some of their social welfare needs and health care needs of our older persons, specifically in Belize City, San Ignacio, and Belmopan. We have had the opportunity to do home visits with our geriatrician and physiotherapists. We distribute meals to them. We also have that opportunity to interact with them, to observe them. There are needs that may be identified. If we can address those, we do so.
Social Security has been one of our biggest donors throughout the years, and the services that they provide to us is basically financial, and it helps with a lot of things here at the center like bills and groceries. The center is a drop-in center for the mentally ill, elderly, homeless, deportees. They come here, they take a shower, they get their breakfast, they get their lunch, and they also do recreational stuff here at the center. They can watch television, they listen to music, they play games, and they just, interact with each other because here it's like a family.
This newscast is brought to you by the Belize Bank Limited. Our country, your bank.
Good evening. Welcome to News 5 Live for Wednesday, January 19th. I am Annalyn Apollonio. A group of passengers coming off a Copa Airlines flight was barred from entering Belize through the Philip Golson International Airport on Tuesday. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Eamon Courtney, told News 5 that they are still being processed for a return to their country of origin. While he did not disclose the specifics, he drew attention to the migration crisis in Central America and the issue of human trafficking. Minister Courtney says the airline will be questioned.
There are approximately 37 persons who are there who were refused leave to land. For varying reasons, I won't get into that, but they do not satisfy the requirements for entry into Belize. They are being processed so that they can be returned from where they came. This is a matter that is of serious concern to us. As you are aware, there is a lot of movement of people. There are a lot of movement of people from Haiti, from Venezuela, from Nicaragua, from other countries. And we have been monitoring very closely the flow of people in and out of Belize. And therefore, this particular flight had a significant number of persons who did not satisfy the requirements for entry. We intend to have very serious discussions with the airline, very serious discussions with the authorities in Panama and other countries to ensure that what we are starting to detect will be stopped. I don't want to get into details. It's early days, but I can tell you that those persons will not be allowed to remain in Belize and they will be returned to where they came from.
Is there a concern that maybe there is a number of persons similar to their status that have actually gained entrance to Belize and were successful in doing so?
I have no statistics that number of persons have gained entry into Belize. What I would say is a number of government agencies, customs, immigration, police, etc., are working together to ensure that we try to anticipate, and working with international partners, the flow of persons who may be being trafficked, or who have an interest in just using Belize as a point of departure to go elsewhere. We have been seeing the flows of people, we have been managing it, and in fact I think we have been fairly effective in trying to stem the flow of persons. But this is something that's happening regionally.
This afternoon, Attorney Urson Elrington showed up at the Queen Street Police Station demanding to meet with his clients who have been in detention since Tuesday when they were taken into custody at the Philip Goulson International Airport. He was denied an opportunity to meet with them. What he told the media outside of the station is that there are as many as 32 persons, including a minor, at the lockup, and that their basic human rights are being denied.
Yesterday, I'm not too sure at what time, there were at least 32 nationals, the majority of them being from Venezuela, who entered a flight in Belize, and they were subsequently denied entry and detained by the Belizean authorities. So I was contacted early this morning and retained by all of those individuals. After that, I subsequently, for hours and hours, tried to ascertain the reason for their detention from the authorities. I subsequently was informed by the authorities that the allegation is that they have not met the requirements to enter Belize. And that is fine. What is very disturbing in this situation, and the reason that I believe you guys are here, is because there is some serious human rights violations which are happening in this situation. First and foremost, my clients have informed me that they have, since yesterday, they were given food once, denied water, and not given food, and only given food once at about 9:30 last night. They have been treated inhumanely, have been subjected to cruel and inhumane punishment. Treatment which does not comply with simple human rights standards.
Was there a scuffle on board the flight at the PJIA that resulted in all 32 passengers being taken off the airplane? That's what the media asked Elrington today. Here's his response.
Did you get any information about what would have taken place at the airport? Did they resist the authority once they were not granted leave to land? We hear there was a confrontation on the airplane itself.
No. My information now, I did get that piece of information, is that, and that is why I'm telling you that one of the persons relayed to us that they were treated meanly, they were shoved, they were belittled. And when they got back on the plane, that one of the persons who was visibly upset about the situation and about being denied entry and not being provided with any information as to why their entry was being denied. Imagine you go to Orlando for a trip and They say, oh, just go back. You would be upset, but they said there was no threat of violence, there was nothing. And the pilot said that, well, this person is causing a disturbance, so he will not proceed. And when they came back, they said, well, you know what? Well, we will punish all of you.
Corozal North Area Representative Hugo Patt was summoned to testify before a commission of inquiry on February 26, 2021. During his time before the panel, the former Deputy Prime Minister was questioned about several transactions involving the sale of his ministerial vehicle while he was still the Minister of Natural Resources. At the time, he told the commission that he could not recall specific details involving the sale of his 2020 Toyota Tacoma. It was among several testimonies given during a probe into the fire sale of government assets at the end of the last Barrow administration. Last week, the Commission published a 46-page report that has raised the ire of the former UDP minister, prompting him to seek legal action, including an interim injunction banning any action taken regarding the Commission's report. News 5's Isani Caetano reports.
Former Deputy Prime Minister Hugo Patt, through his attorney, has filed an application for judicial review to challenge the findings of a commission of inquiry into the fire sale of government assets under the previous administration. The erstwhile Minister of Natural Resources believes that he was unfairly treated by the commission, particularly in a recent report where its findings were published. He is subsequently seeking an interim injunction to prevent government from proceeding with anything in respect of that report. Patt is represented by former Prime Minister Dean Barrow, who also appeared before the three-member panel in its initial hearing. Senior counsel Barrow has since returned to private practice, following his retirement from electoral politics. In speaking with News 5, he outlined 3 points for which, among other things, redress will be sought if the matter is allowed to proceed. These arguments are based on procedures that were taken in arriving at the conclusions that were published in the report. He says those procedures were deeply flawed, and his client, the UDP-era representative for Corozal North, was not afforded natural justice. Barrow posits that the findings should not have been published in the report without informing Patt that those details would cast him in a negative light, therefore allowing him to make representations on his behalf. Likewise, Patt was never allowed to have his lawyer cross-examine any witness who appeared before the commission to testify against him. As a result, the basis for the judicial review is that the commission disregarded Patt's right to natural justice. There is also a charge that the commission was partial. While it has certain powers and may require the attendance of witnesses, as well as the presentation of certain documentation to uncover information that may otherwise be difficult to come by, the government cannot interfere in the direction taken by the Commission of Inquiry, nor can it influence the findings. In this case, Barrow puts forward that the senior counsel, Andrew Marshall-Leck, was appointed chairman by Prime Minister John Briceño, despite the fact that at the time, Marshall-Leck was also representing him in a defamation suit brought by former Director of Tourism Karen Bevans. Marshall-Leck, says Barrow, has also served as a legal advisor to the People's United Party and sat on its national executive. As a result, the credibility of the commission is being called to question. Should leave be granted, Patt is seeking a declaration that the procedure was flawed, infected with bias, and that his natural justice rights were breached. He would also be seeking the quashing of the report. Most importantly, Patt would be arguing that the violation of his rights also encompassed the violation of his constitutional rights to equal protection under the law. On the basis that his constitutional rights were violated, Patt will be seeking damages. Reporting for News 5, I am Isani Cayetano.
Since the findings of the Commission of Inquiry into the sale of government assets under the latter part of the previous administration's reigns were revealed, former Minister of Natural Resources Hugo Patt has come back swinging. The Commission's chair, Senior Counsel Andrew Marshall-Leck, has recommended that the government may have a legal case against Patt as it relates to the sale of a Tacoma pickup truck to Patt and the relationship, if any, to the sale of government lands to Kelvin Lee. Patt has since lawyered up in the person of the former Prime Minister Dean Barrow, under whose administration the transactions occurred. As you just heard, Patt has his own take on the matter. Today, Prime Minister John Briceño told reporters that it's all a scheme of the UDP to, quote, bury the report, unquote.
They should be ashamed. They should allow the process to follow. If you feel you didn't do anything wrong, then you can go and write that. But it's typical UDP. They speak from both sides of the mouth. Once they talk about openness and transparency and accountability, and from the next month they say, oh, but if you deal with me, we have to stop it, we have to hide it. And they want to go and to stop it at the court. What are they afraid of? What are they afraid of?
This afternoon, social media was abuzz with claims that the leader of the opposition, Patrick Faber, may be embroiled in yet another domestic violence scandal. At news time, media members were still camped out at the Queen Street police station, waiting to see if his fiancée, Dr. Shanika Arnold, and her attorney would emerge and make a statement. She has reportedly been in there since early afternoon at the domestic violence unit. Just last week, the engaged couple appeared together at the UDP press conference. She was speaking on the COVID pandemic. News 5 has reached out for comment from her attorney, David Morales, and the UDP leader, Patrick Faber, but they were not immediately available for comment. Coming up, so when might the borders reopen for Belizean travel to Mexico and Guatemala? Hear what the Prime Minister had to say today when we return.
Digi, the premier name in voice and data, is also the country's leading provider of innovative services and solutions for small business and enterprise. At Digi Business, we offer solutions, tools, and applications to support your business needs. Reduce costs, improve efficiency, and excel in a changing world where no idea is too big and no task is too small. From technology advising to design implementation and management, our team of qualified solution sales and specialists can develop a reliable and robust infrastructure, allowing you to spend more time on what matters most, your business. Visit us online to explore how DigiBusiness innovative products and solutions can help your business reduce costs and improve efficiency.
I visited the land of Serbia, a great many miles away. I ascended the Mount Everest few people have conquered. I roared on the snow-covered Antarctic and Arctic. I rolled swiftly across the vast, untamed desert. Ling Long Tire conquers every corner of the world.
Distributed by Enrique Martinez and Sons Limited. 2 miles Philip Wilson Highway, Belize City.
Beep disinfectant spray is certified by a U.S. EPA compliant lab to kill the coronavirus that causes COVID-19. Beep for a happy, healthy home.
New Year's is a time for us to make hearty resolutions that will help us better our lives, and then promptly forget about them. However, there are some resolutions we shouldn't forget about. Join us for our new series, 100%, where we'll be talking about being 100% in on things like our relationship with God, our spouses, finances, and more. Tune in at 10 a.m. right here on Channel 5 Belize.
Pelican, the bear of Belize.
The Omicron variant has broken the infection rate records around the world, and Belize has been no different since this mutation of the COVID-19 virus was detected in Belize. But this strain of the virus is not as deadly as the Delta variant. So up to this point, the government's plan is still to reopen the land borders unless Omicron wreaks more havoc.
I know it is something of great concern to everyone, and we continue to monitor it on a regular basis, daily and weekly, also in cabinet. We believe, though, that we need to be able to open the borders more sooner than later. We have closed our borders since the end of March of 2020. We are almost coming to March of 2022 for 2 years, and it is creating some problems for people to travel, for do business, for trade, and so we need to find a way how we can open the borders safely. And that is what we're working at, that when we open it, that we're going to open it safely. In December, we said that we were going to open both the borders and school at the same time. But once we saw the Omicron hit Belize and the numbers increasing, we felt that it's important for us to first take on education, because that is a priority. I know that has started, and so far, as I said, knock on wood, we've been going fairly safe. Now it's now to look at the borders as to how and when we can open it. We still hope to open it on the 1st of February, but if there's enough evidence and reasons as to why we should not open it, then we do so. I know that a lot of businesses have benefited greatly because the borders have been closed, but the reality is that we can't stay closed forever, and we need to open the borders.
Among the members of the COVID-19 task force that advises Cabinet on the course of action to be taken during the pandemic is Dr. Melissa Diaz-Musa. She says that even though the reopening of the border is not recommended at this time, there is heightened surveillance at all land borders and at the PGIA.
We definitely do discuss a lot of the measures. We discuss the outbreaks, the waves, the numbers we're seeing, and ways for us to ensure that the positivity rate is improved as quickly as possible. At the borders, we've done numerous visits at the borders. We have our public health inspectors there, and there is constant surveillance at our borders, including at the PGIA. What we do is whenever persons are tested and persons are picked up positive at the land borders and PGIA, the public health inspector would immediately contact that person, and we would then ensure that these persons are in isolation, and we do a quick history and ensure that, if there's any management that's needed, medical management, that is done as well. So we plan to continue to have heightened surveillance at all our borders.
COVID cases are surging, and the highest rate is among the unvaccinated. News 5 has obtained a copy of a COVID-19 report from the epidemiology unit of the Ministry of Health and Wellness. The weekly national and district summary report of COVID breaks down the data from all regions as the country continues to battle a fourth wave of the infectious and deadly disease. There are currently 8,537 positive cases. The report says that 25% of all new cases in the last 2 weeks are among the unvaccinated, compared to 11% with one shot and 64% among those fully vaccinated. The report says that average daily active cases increased from 333 to a whopping 1,255 new cases per day on average. Deputy Regional Health Manager Dr. Melissa Diaz-Musa shares insight on the report.
Generally, around December 28th, 29th, we saw a shift in the number of cases presenting to our health facilities. And we knew then clinically and epidemiologically that something had changed. The presentations were slightly different. and the doctors were calling to say, you know, we're seeing much more upper airway illnesses, congestion, sore throat, and more flu-like, that body pain and tiredness. So we thought then that, yes, we do have Omicron. And as the days progressed, we saw that numbers started to double, triple, and then we couldn't keep up with the amount on the shift that we went from 8% positivity rate in 1 week to 29, 26% the following week. So we then knew that, okay, this is Omicron, and we know now that we are in the height of, so we're still going up, we're still on the upward part of the curve. But according to the epidemiologists, we will be peaking in the next few days, and we will have a very short or very narrow plateau, and then a very quick downward trend after that. And the prediction is that in the next few weeks, and especially in the month of February, we will be back to pre-Omicron numbers.
All districts have been experiencing a rise in COVID-19 cases over the last few weeks. Transmission rates are especially high, though, in Belize, Cayo, and Orange Walk districts. Dr. Melissa Diaz-Musa says that it was expected.
From the start of this fourth wave, we know that the Belize district has had the highest rate of transmission, followed by Cayo. I mean, we know that these are two of the more dense districts in the country in terms of population. We have big workforces in both places. So these are the initial districts that have seen the spike. We need to keep a close watch on the other districts as well, because that spike may come later on in the week.
According to the report, testing must be increased with special attention given to clusters and areas of high human density, ports of entry, and businesses and buildings with high occupancy and poor ventilation. While the COVID data for the past few weeks have indicated that the highly transmissible Omicron variant is probably in Belize, today News 5 confirmed with Dr. Melissa Diaz-Musa that the variant has been detected via gene sequencing by the Central Medical Laboratory. Based on the data gathered, Omicron entered the country just before Christmas, sometime after December 20th. Dr. Diaz-Musa also confirms that Delta and Omicron are now the dominant variants in Belize. But when persons are infected, it is not known which of the two they've contracted.
Central Medical Lab have been able to carry out genome sequencing for some months now. And the last 2 or 3 batches of swabs sequence continue to show the predominance of Delta. The swabs recently that were selected from December 20th to January 2nd, the results came back earlier this week and have showed that of the 42 samples done, 83%, so I believe that it's 35 samples presented Omicron, and the rest was Delta. So we know that we're expecting a little bit, in a week or so, further results from other swabs that are being genome sequenced, and we are expecting that the predominance remains as Omicron at this point.
The BDF has at least 44 active COVID cases. This as the Belize district continues to have the highest transmissibility rate. While generally isolated and locked off, there are reports of cases at Batsub and Price Barracks. News 5's Dwayne Moody investigated the situation today.
Reports have been rolling into News 5 that a number of personnel at Batsub as well as soldiers stationed at the BDF headquarters at Price Barracks have tested positive for COVID-19.
We tend to get a lot of concerns from many different areas. So it's not only to single out BDF or Batsub. I know BDF have their own medical force. They have their doctors and nurses at the BDF. So we might not be getting some of their concerns that might go directly to the health there.
The concerns were that enough is not being done to contain its spread. But as we found out today, there are currently 44 known active cases at Price Barracks.
We have some soldiers who have tested positive. The numbers are 44 as of this morning. That is what the force medical officer confirmed before we went to this interview. The soldiers, when they get their time off, they usually go home. But I want to emphasize the fact that when we speak to the soldiers and the officers in our regular morning briefs that we give to the commander, that is one of the main things that we harp on, and the commander harps on, that we need to maintain our social distance. We need to abide to the SI that they press around the government issues. So we are always encouraging our soldiers to go ahead and listen and abide by all the SIs. And inclusively, I want to mention, and I want to categorically mention, that when our soldiers come in and if they feel any symptoms or anything, we ask them to get tested as quickly as possible. We have that capability here at Price Barracks. Our technicians are readily available for whosoever is not feeling well and they want to know their status, then they are encouraged to do so. So that is one of the things that we always we encourage our soldiers to do, to ensure that they know their status, and if they are going home, to ensure that when they do go home, they remain at home and they only come out when it's necessary.
So what happens if a soldier tests positive? Active Chief of Staff Major Rogelio Ramirez breaks down the protocols in place.
Once the soldier tests positive, then obviously he has to go in quarantine. We have two options, to have them quarantined here at Price Barracks, at Price Barracks. Or if that is not the case, then we take them home in order for them to quarantine at home. If that is the case, then we would have known that they came from home and they went straight to get tested, because we wouldn't want the families of these, or the family of this soldier, particular soldier, to give them the COVID. So if they came from home and they come to the medic center because they weren't feeling well and they test positive, then we would allow them to go home, to quarantine at home. But if that is not the case, then we want to ensure that the soldiers remain here at Price Barracks so that they are quarantined here and they can go through the quarantine process or the days that is given to them to quarantine.
Dwayne Moody for News 5.
The official change of command within the Belize Defense Force will be held on Friday at Price Barracks. Since last week, the soldiers have been engaged in practice for the parade and the displays that will take place during a pandemic. Today, Acting Chief of Staff Major Rogelio Ramirez says that permission was requested from the Ministry of Health and Wellness and specific guidelines will be followed on that day.
We have reassured the Ministry of Health that everyone in attendance will be fully vaccinated. That's even before we even go there, before we even start the parade. And once the parade is about to start, then we will have sanitation stands with masks, with alcohol, all of these things, so that the people coming in, they can sanitize and ensure that they are good to go. And if there's a need for a change of masks, then we have that stand readily available. So that is when it comes to the parade. Of course, the soldiers on parade, that is something that you mentioned, the soldiers on parade. We are trying to, I wouldn't say confine, we are confining them, but we are encouraging them to remain, to abide by the regulations, to stay away from people if so be the case, to wear their mask at all times, unless you are doing physical exercise, then obviously you are to take off your mask. But we are encouraging our soldiers to abide by the regulations and to ensure that everybody is safe for the parade.
After the break, find out why the Prime Minister says he wanted Michelle Shabat over at Public Utilities.
experience in Belize? You don't know? Well, the truth is, Digi, our national telecom, of course. Digi has the largest mobile LTE advanced network with over 96% countrywide coverage, offering the fastest mobile LTE data speeds at the most affordable rates with mobile plans that fit your lifestyle. The truth is, only Digi gives the ultimate mobile LTE experience. Visit your nearest Digi store to join the bigger, better network today. Digi, our national telecom. Visit us online at www.livedigi.com.
The talk since last week Monday has been Prime Minister John Briceño's shuffling of his cabinet. But while many have been saying that former Minister of Health and Wellness, Michelle Shibat, deserve to be penalized for what they feel is his abrasive approach, the Prime Minister said Shibat is needed in his new post over at the Ministry of Public Utilities.
I need somebody with a legal mind to be able to manage the public utilities, public utilities and logistics, the ministry, because of the challenges that we're having right now, the issues of raising rates in electricity or proposed rates that the PUC is presenting, the issues that we may have in BTL, at BTL, at BL, at WSL, BWSL. The issues of energy, what are going to be our energy needs in the years to come. As it is right now, our energy consumption is almost at 2019 levels. So there's a huge growth, and so we need to start to think about what is it that we're going to do. We have also our challenges at the ministry in the logistics with the ports. So I felt that maybe it's time now to move him from there and put him where we can use his legal mind.
In August, the government of Belize announced that it had contracted the services of SMART as a telecom provider for various ministries. At the time, the decision was met with strong objections from different sectors, and then the government conceded that the contract did not go through the Contractor General's office. Today, Prime Minister Briceño said, while that may be the case, the Contractor General did review the contract. The PM pointed out that this practice has been one that he inherited from his predecessor.
The government has admitted that they did not go to the Contractor General. So basically all is going to be done is then it's going to go to the Contractor General for him to take a look at. But in the letter that the Contractor General, or the report that the Contractor General gave, he was very clear that he saw that all the process was followed, that it was open, it was transparent, and that SpeedNet did give the best offer to the government. It's only that it did not go to him for final vetting. But that is the way it has been done from under Dean Barrow. The Financial Secretary was very concerned that the time was coming up, that the time for the license to come to an end, it was just like about a week. So I guess in his haste, and I have not sat down to ask him about it, I guess in his haste he said, SpeedNet, you want it, and please hurry, make sure that they don't cut us off. In this case, it was not the political directorate that cut corners. It is the public service. And now the public service also needs to understand that we need to follow the right procedures that have been set out. So I see it as something positive to ensure that we do not make those mistakes again. What is important is that it was a bid that was set out for tender. It was a bid that was followed, and it was open, it was transparent, and that SpeedNet did give the best offer. And I think that is what you need to be looking at, that is what we did to save money for government, as opposed to say, oh, I never gone to Contractor General. But here we are, we're correcting it, and then we move on, we learn from that.
A year ago, the various unions were preparing to protest in the streets after negotiations between them and the government broke down, and a 10% pay cut for them became more evident. At the time, the government indicated that for the economy to recover from its fragile state, the pay cut had to remain in place for 3 years. But today, the Prime Minister told reporters that Belize's economy has shown a more robust comeback than was anticipated. And because of that, the salary cut that teachers and public officers have been enduring might not last for the entire 3 years.
No, the economy has been growing way faster than what the IMF was predicting. They were saying that we were going to have growth of between 2 and 3%, then they move it to 6%. And now it seems that we're going to have growth between 12 and 15% for last year. And for this year, the present projections are at 6.2% growth rate. It's a phenomenal growth. The taxes have been performing better than what we expected. And so we believe, when we meet with the PSU and the BNTU, that we may be able to look at the salary cut and be able to see how we can start to go back to give back the amount that was cut. We know it's for 3 years, but if we can do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. But we still have to look at the numbers, but we believe that we can do something for them. And we are going to disclose as much as we can to information that we can give them.
Just ahead, Costa Rica sends its foreign minister to find opportunities for collaboration with Belize. But first, here's a weather update with data from the Belize Met Service.
This weather update is brought to you by SMART. This weather update was brought to you by SMART.
The ministry is collaborating with SpeedNet Communications to have a vaccination campaign for children ages 12 to 17 years. Children who get vaccinated will get a chance to win fabulous prizes, including backpacks with supplies, Nintendo Switch, tablets, book tuitions, and MiFi with 3 months data. Only children 12 to 17 years old can participate in this SMART and Ministry of Health and Wellness raffle. At vaccination sites, each vaccinated child, upon being vaccinated, will receive a ticket to place their name, age, date of birth, BHIS number, and contact information on, which will be filled out by a parent or legal guardian. The sooner a person vaccinates, the more chances he or she will have to win. Get vaccinated, Belize! Vaccination saves lives.
Electricity is an essential part of our daily lives. We use lights and household appliances every day. Therefore, we must ensure our homes are wired properly. At Benny's, we have certified wires with the right gauges and insulation. BEL certified meter sockets, authentic GE and Square D panel boxes and breakers, which protect your electrical system from being overloaded. When wiring your home, avoid imitation brands which can be very dangerous. Give yourself and your family peace of mind using genuine electrical products available at Benny's, celebrating 75 years of quality and savings.
Taking its name from the venerable father of the nation, the George Price Highway stretches 77 miles from Belize City to Benqueviejo. Originally built in the 1930s, this cross-country highway system is the artery that links Belize to Central America at the western border with Guatemala. That connection facilitates overland trade, supporting Belize's economic development. Winding its way across the scenic countryside, the George Price Highway from Roaring Creek to Esperanza has been fully reconstructed to meet international standards, with particular emphasis on road safety. A shorter and hassle-free commute is best enjoyed when everyone obeys the traffic laws. To reduce the number and frequency of road traffic accidents, it means that a seatbelt must be worn at all times and the speed limit observed when traveling along the highway. It also means that pedestrians must use sidewalks and crosswalks where available. Buses should only board and discharge passengers at a designated bus stop. Road safety is everyone's responsibility. It begins with you.
Hospital Galenia es el único hospital de Quintana Roo en contar con la más completa unidad de medicina nuclear, poniendo a su alcance la mejor tecnología especializada de diagnóstico y tratamiento de enfermedades, en las que se utilizan cantidades muy pequeñas de radiofármacos para diagnosticar anomalías dentro del cuerpo. Hospital Galenia, más que un hospital.
My parents always said, when it's time to build, invest in quality products that last a lifetime, even if it means paying a little more. It is now my turn to invest in my own home, and it's not even a question. It has to be Oran Windows. My contractor recommends Oran because of the heavy-duty construction, the thickest gauge blades on the market, and the dual locks that allow lower louvers to close independently for privacy while the top remains open for airflow. These features make Oran aluminum louver windows the best on the market.
With Oran aluminum louver windows, you get strength, durability, and beauty with an added layer of security and protection against debris and damaging winds. Come in and check out the variety of sizes and colors at Design Depot, located at Mile 3 Philip Goldson Highway in Belize City.
Bringing people together has always been SMART's mission and passion. That is why we are proud to have built a locally independent quality network from the ground up that spans the country with over 100 sites. We continue to add more affordable mobile data packages, broadband speeds, and voice services to meet your personal and business needs. SMART has set the standard of true competition with the most competitive prices on all services offered. We invite and welcome you to join the SMART family, where the value for your dollar matters. SMART will continue bringing new technologies, more affordable prices, network expansions, and people together. SMART, bringing people together.
The Foreign Minister of Costa Rica, Rodolfo Solano Quiros, is in Belize to discuss cooperation, tourism, climate change, and migration, among other regional issues. Today, Belize's Foreign Affairs Minister, Eamon Courtney, and Minister Solano signed 2 joint declarations and 2 memorandums of understanding. One is for the establishment of a strategic association for integral cooperation. The second has to do with the preservation of oceans and seas. An MOU for cooperation on climate change was also signed, as well as an MOU between the Institute of Tourism in Costa Rica and the Ministry of Tourism in Belize. Here is what the Costa Rican Foreign Minister told us about the cooperative relationship between his country and Belize immediately after engaging in bilateral conversations in Belmopan.
We just agreed to upgrade our bilateral relations into a strategic partnership called a comprehensive cooperation partnership, that we are going to identify the cooperation areas, mostly in political dialogue, in cooperation, and of course, trade and investment. For Costa Rica and Belize, that share universal values, as I mentioned, democracy, human rights, freedom of press, is very important to work together in this context of the pandemic and the process of recovery. So we discussed about specific programs to create opportunities, mostly for the young people. We need to create the conditions to be part, active part, with a participation in the global change supply system, and in that way Costa Rica and Belize can share a lot of experiences that help the recovery of the economy and impact positively in the people.
As it relates to cooperation between Belize and Costa Rica for economic growth, Minister Solano spoke about the importance of investing in Belizean entrepreneurs and broadening skill sets.
The pandemic affects the logistic chain, and there are very important markets like Mexico, United States, and Canada, and we can work together to identify those important markets and sectors. And through a strategic policy of how we can create vocational training to create jobs, but at the same time provide to investors to come to our countries to open operations here is a very smart way. In that line, talking about blue economy is very important. We talk about the diplomacy of the ocean. Science and technology apply to the production. The business now is in a cell phone. Yeah. So we need also to create the culture and the opportunities for our young people. And the question we need to answer is, what type of scholars we graduated? A scholar looking for a job or a scholar creating a job? We prefer young people creating jobs, and for that we need to provide training, good education, but also financing.
Today, Barbados held its first general elections since becoming a republic. Prime Minister Mia Mottley's Labour Party is widely expected to retain control since they held 29 of the 36 seats in Parliament. Mottley called elections in December. According to Reuters news agency, she said at the time that the vote would, quote, promote unity in the face of the coronavirus pandemic, unquote. In November, Barbados removed Queen Elizabeth as the head of state and replaced her with President Sandra Mason. The opposition had sought a court injunction to try and stop the election. They claimed people being quarantined for coronavirus would be excluded from participation, thereby violating their voting rights. Up next, there's more news after the break, so stay with us.
Hospital Galenia es el único hospital de Quintana Roo en contar con la más completa unidad de medicina nuclear, poniendo a su alcance la mejor tecnología especializada de diagnóstico y tratamiento de enfermedades, en las que se utilizan cantidades muy pequeñas de radiofármacos para diagnosticar anomalías dentro del cuerpo. Hospital Galenia, más que un hospital.
What is the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine? The Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine is an RNA vaccine that triggers our immune system to develop antibodies against the SARS-CoV-2 virus that causes COVID-19. It helps to reduce hospitalization, severity of the disease, and death. What is the Pfizer vaccine made of, and is it safe? The Pfizer vaccine is made up of mRNA messenger ribonucleic acid, which are molecules that carry the genetic information needed to make proteins, lipid, salts, and sugar. It is safe for persons 12 years and older and does not contain the COVID-19 virus, hence cannot cause infection. Tests have shown that the vaccine is effective against current virus variants. Who should take the Pfizer vaccine? The Pfizer vaccine should be taken by persons 12 years of age and older who do not have severe allergic reaction after a previous dose of vaccine or have not had severe allergic reaction to any ingredient of this vaccine. 2 doses of the vaccine are required 3 weeks apart. If you are between the ages of 12 and 17 years, you are required to present a signed consent form before you are vaccinated. What are the side effects of the Pfizer vaccine? Some common side effects of the Pfizer vaccine are headache, fatigue, muscle pain, fever, chills, and swelling at the injection site. If side effects persist, contact your doctor as soon as possible. Does the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine prevent infection and transmission? No, vaccination alone does not prevent infection and transmission. we are still required to continue to wear masks properly, physically distance, wash and sanitize hands often, practice proper coughing and sneezing hygiene, and avoid crowds.
It's a fact that your credit lasts longer when using Smart. During these times, we're all trying to find ways to cut costs and save the little resources we have. With Smart, it's easy to do that. It's a fact that with Smart, your credit lasts longer. You can call Smart to Smart and Smart to Digi using your promo credit, while with the other guy, you can only call OnNet, Digi, or BTL numbers. What does this mean? You get to call any national number using your promo credit. Your promo credit is free, so that call is also free. Know your facts. Don't be tricked by the other guy. Be smart and save your dollars.
Connecting people. Creating memories.
So here we are at the Glaze Out Kitchen. I just prepared this amazing broccoli.
Sharing a smile. Next Gen, the ultimate digital experience.
The vacancy for the post of Ombudsman will be advertised in a few days. In addition to that, the recent retirement of Dorothy Bradley as Auditor General has also made that post vacant. In his briefing with the media today, Prime Minister John Briceño explained that these posts are not the easiest to fill. He spoke first about the Auditor General's post.
There is difficulty in trying to find the right persons to fill these posts. And presently we have an acting a person acting in that position, and we were looking within the public service to see if we can find somebody that can adequately fill that position. And once we do that, we will be happy to fill it permanently. I could also tell you that probably this week or certainly by next week, we're going to put an advertisement for the Ombudsman's position, so publicly so that people can apply. And the letter for the appointment of the Integrity Commission has gone to the Governor General for that appointment.
Late last year, Cabinet had announced that the government would set up a commission to address the issue of constitutional reform. Today, the PM told reporters that the matter was discussed on Tuesday in Cabinet, but there have been unforeseen delays.
We've had a setback in setting up the commission. So yesterday in Cabinet, I asked the Minister Henry Charles Usher to come to Cabinet with a paper on how we're going to set up this commission and how it's going to be composed and what are going to be the goals and the targets that we expect them to achieve. So we should be getting it to Cabinet, if not this coming week, certainly within 2 weeks. And once we get that and we approve it, it's going to be made public and we're going to start. We have a mandate from the people, and one of that is to be able to take a look at our constitution and look at the institutions that we have to see how we can strengthen democracy, how we can deepen democracy, how we can have more openness and transparency in government. And we have that mandate from the people, and we need to be able to find a way to be able to deliver on those promises that were made.
And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Annalyn Apolonio. Thanks for joining us, and from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.